Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Hot Seat with One Woman Shop. We are a resource and community for women solo business owners, and we have a special guest with us today, but I will let Sarah intro her.
Yes, we are super excited to have Halley Gray here. Halley owns Evolve and Succeed, which we're sure many of you have noticed because she is queen of internet domination. A few of our favorite things, Halley was featured on 100 Best Sites this year. She's got a fantastic sense of humor, which you would know if you're on her email list, and if you're not, you should be. And she sends these awesome fuck yeah mugs, which mine is very full right now, so I'm trying really hard not to spill it. but yeah, beyond that, I'll let Halley introduce herself and kind of tell us about your business and who you work with and that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm really excited to be here. I run Evolve and Succeed, like everyone said, and basically my focus is to get peeps who offer services. So you're doing coaching, packages, accounting, shark wrangling, teach them how to get enough clients so that they can last for the next 6 months, and going about it in like a strategic way, because a lot of people are just throwing shit at a wall and hoping it sticks. So that's kind of what is not healthy for a business in terms of its marketing, because marketing is really like fiber. You know you need it, but you're not really sure you want to eat it. So it's all about figuring out how you could do it in a fun, easier, straightforward way. And so Be Booked Out is the main focus. We also teach people how to have a 5-figure lunch and try to make people laugh while they're learning something new. So it's basically us, or basically me. Yeah. I also talk in a third person like the Queen of England. Either.
Acceptable. So how long have you actually been running Evolve and Succeed?
I think it's been 4 years soon, or is it 3? I don't know. Time passes differently when you own your own business. It's both slow and very fast. So it's like a black hole of time.
Solopreneurship, a black hole of time. I like it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we like talking about our digestive system, so you fit right in here.
Great. Good.
So if you could dive in a little bit more into what it means to be booked out.
Okay, cool. So basically, be booked out is just the phrase I use to talk about when you're getting enough clients in advance and they're signed, sealed, and delivered to your door. So basically what happens is most people, they wait for their clients to show up. And so be booked out is about how you can set up your business so that you can have 6 months of clients coming in, and you can lock them in, and you can make sure that you have it constantly rotating through your business. So being booked out just means you have 6 months of clients and you've done it in a strategic way.
Awesome. Yeah, and we can talk a little bit more about what that means. But what would you say is really the push for why you chose to focus on this with service-based businesses? Why is it so important that, as a copywriter, I have 6 months of clients booked out?
Oh, yeah, totally. Well, the whole point is that you need to stabilize your income, right? Because if you're working for yourself, you no longer have that constant paycheck at the end of every week or beginning of every week. And that's terrifying. So what you're trying to do is that I don't expect the people who I'm teaching to be excellent marketers, but I need them to be committed to getting enough clients so that they can survive. And once you have a steady amount of money coming in and you know where it's coming in for 6 months, it means you can spend money, and you can also make sure that you're getting paid enough to make it work. And really, if you can't, business is kind of ruthless in that if you don't have enough money, you should probably close down the business. So it's about making sure your business is as profitable and viable as possible.
Yeah, easier said than done, of course.
Of course. It's just like, you just put some stickers on your forehead and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, there you go. Send out some tweets and done. So speaking of sales and being booked out, what do you think the biggest struggles are to getting to that point of being booked out 6 months in advance?
So most people don't really know how to sell their shit, and they try to sell you what you need versus what you want, right? So I could try and sell people marketing, but again, it's like trying to sell people fiber, totally unsexy, and nobody has a fucking clue why they need it. So, or why they would want it. They know they need it. So basically the whole point here is that what you're trying to do is, whenever you're making something, you need to think about what the one person, because it helps your brain basically get in the right mind space. And once you have that one person in mind, you need to figure out what they want, not what they need. Okay. So most people, when it comes to selling, think about themselves and what they want to sell and what they want to do. And that's really not going to work. It's a cock block for your success. So what you need to do is think always from the other person's perspective, because just like I wouldn't give people a gift that they need, because nobody gets excited about that shit. Nobody needs another pair of socks for Christmas. That's not the gift that they want. Then the same way that you're going to do it with your marketing. So services need to be formed so that people actually fucking want them. And I know that sounds a bit flip, but it really is, because once you tap into that, it's like a whole different ball game, you know?
So do you think that any business is capable of doing this kind of marketing, or do you think that it's just kind of the already sexy businesses that can do it?
No, I mean, B2B or B2C. So if you're selling to other business owners or selling just to the normal average day Joe or Jolene, it doesn't really matter what you're selling. It matters how you market it. And so marketing is basically like when you have to give your dog medicine, it's basically the cheese you wrap the medicine in, because that way they're excited about it, even though they're getting what they need. So that's why we always make sure when we're marketing something to come from the perspective of, okay, how can we make people want this? Because it's actually going to change their lives. And how can we help them see that? Because, you know, going to the gym every day is what we need to do, but what we want is that six-pack abs. So it's always about connecting it to the long-term goal that people are trying to achieve, because all humans are short-sighted.
So there's really two sides to it. It's not just creating these super sexy packages, but it's learning how to actually market them to people that want them or need them. Mostly want.
Yeah, well, I mean, most of the time, so it's a couple of things. I mean, super sexy packages are only super sexy because people really want them. So it's part of that. And the other part is that most people pick like a random person that they've never met before to try and market to. That's utter bullshit. So your ideal client should be somebody that's sitting next to you online or in real life, if you're a real life person. Real life business. And basically there's someone that you should be talking to every day or talking to every week and having a good understanding of, because if you're marketing to someone you don't know, you're basically shooting in the dark, and you might as well just be pulling the plug on this.
So one thing that I see a lot in Facebook groups is people basically going to other business owners and saying, what do you think about this marketing? And a lot of times people respond, well, I'm not your target market, so I'm probably not the best person to be weighing in. So how do you find that person to sit next to you online or sit next to you in person?
You're already sitting next to them. So if you're online and you're active and you've been doing a lot of like business research or doing a lot of, you know, customer research, or basically, if you're a snowboarder in your free time and you're a business owner as well, and you're trying to sell people marketing stuff and you hang out with a whole bunch of snowboarders, figure out who in the snowboarding community needs help with marketing and wants it. And then that way you can basically move forward. I mean, a lot of the time, this is why word of mouth is so great. If you're already in communities and you're talking to one person who wants what you need, then probably everybody else in the community as well wants it. So you need to be looking at it doesn't matter who you're sitting next to. There's no perfect person. You just need to take a look at who you're already hanging out with online. And if you're new to the online world, then start just talking to people, because that's the best way forward. And then what you want to do is just make sure that you're really seeing them and seeing what they want and listening to them first, and really getting as much data as possible about them. And then you're figuring out what you should sell them.
Yeah, I think this is really important to kind of hammer home too, because on the flip side of creating for this ideal client that doesn't actually exist, I think the other mistake that's made is we try to create services and packages that will fuel everybody and will attract everybody. So that's when having those one-on-one conversations can really help you whittle it down. And we share that advice all the time. Create for one person.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about something else that can be kind of overwhelming. Content marketing, which is huge, of course. So we could probably spend 4 hours just talking about that. But in your mind, can you explain to us what you kind of preach as the difference between launch content and growth content?
Yeah, so content marketing first is just basically what you write online and how much it appeals to the people that you're trying to attract, right? So basically, just to break that down, if you're talking like a nerd, you're going to attract nerds. If you're talking like the cheerleader, you're going to attract cheerleaders. So basically, content marketing is making sure that you sound like the people you want to attract. And then basically what happens is that the launch versus growth content is basically, again, content is just videos, blog posts, podcasts, cartoons. Any of that stuff is content. And basically growth versus launch is two different things. So growth is about getting people interested in what you're doing, educating them around why what you do is important, and basically starting to grow your list, your newsletter list, get more people signed up so that you can talk to them whenever you want, not whenever they want. And then launch content is basically when you have something to sell, it's a very different strategy. Okay. You're very specific about what you're selling, how it's going to improve their lives, what they're going to do to change, to change it. It's just very much focused on getting the sale, whereas growth content is about developing the relationship and also getting them to subscribe to your brain rambles whenever you want. So your newsletter.
Is one or the other of those more important when it comes to being booked out, or would you say there's kind of like this threshold that you hit where you always need the ongoing content marketing, the growth, but the launch comes in sporadically?
I mean, when I first started my business, I was launching every other week. So launch content, when done correctly, is also very educational and valuable, and it can be turned into growth content afterwards. I'd say get comfortable first with launch content, and then that will also grow your business because it'll educate and excite people what you do. Because when people launch, they think, oh, I just have to push my stuff into other people's faces, and then that'll be great. But it's not. It's about getting them excited about specific tangible results. And so it'd be something like, if I was going to, if I'm selling Be Booked Out, I'm telling them all about what being booked out is about, how it affects them, what's working for it. But that still relates to my general business, which is marketing and for service peeps. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so those feed each other really well. And I think we've seen that too. When we talk about, say, solopreneur sanity, we talk a lot about it kind of in context. And then we also talk about it when we're talking about launching a handbook based solely around it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, those definitely feed each other pretty well.
So important.
Yeah, so I'm curious actually if you can give another example. You said you're launching every other week, and so can you give another example from your business of other launches that you had that fed your evergreen content?
Yeah, so I mean, really, whenever you launch, so evergreen content is content that's always available, in case people don't know. And launch content is very time specific. So you're opening it for 2 weeks and you're very focused about what you do. So being booked out, I might have like 10 strategies or 10 things you do after you're booked out, and I can reuse that later because people are interested in being booked out, and I can use that as growth content to say like, hey, here's a checklist for, after you've read this post, here's a checklist about making sure you're booked out or how to start getting booked out. And then that will turn into growth. So is that what you mean? Okay, cool.
That's helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, just
take it as specific as possible.
All right. So I think that in my mind, growth content, like you said, actually is really about creating that ongoing relationship and dropping in when you want to. So let's transition into talking about relationship funnels. And I love your term network hacking because I think a lot of people hear the term networking and they're just like, heck no, like not happening.
Yeah.
So can you tell us kind of what you mean by network hacking and what makes it really important in the process of getting booked out?
Yeah, so network hacking means that just naturally, if you make friends online, you're going to have access to larger networks. And so basically what most people think is that network hacking is trying to like hack into someone's network and like go into their Facebook group and be like, I'm selling this thing. You should buy it now. Don't be a douchebag. That's not going to work. So basically what we're looking at is for network hacking is about making sure that when you create relationships, you're creating relationships that pay off long-term for both you and the other person. And so really what most people get intimidated by is, how the fuck do I reach out to somebody when they seem either more impressive or seem to have a bigger list or seem cooler than me? And so it's always kind of seems to come back to high school. Like, how do you hang out with the popular kids when you're not popular? So network hacking is clearly just about like getting the influence of other people on your side, but you do that through providing more than you ask for. And that's always the case, is that you should be giving more than you should be taking. And the reason why we do it that way is because we're human, and you've worked really hard to build your network, and then imagine, or your audience or your brand or whatever, you've put a lot of hours and times and dollars. And then, somebody comes up and they're like, hey, I want to use your network to promote my thing. Fuck off. Come on, really. You're not even doing this right. Because most people are willing to collaborate and share and make friends online, but you have to do it in a way that is respectful in the sense that you're respecting the time and effort they've put into their thing. So network hacking is about basically making friends online and making those develop into profitable relationships without being a total douchebag.
Yeah.
So probably a little late in the game to say if you have kids around, you really might want to put headphones in.
Yeah,
I also like that Sarah says heck, and then we just have Sarah's the PG version. But so speaking of network hacking and speaking of kind of reaching out to those people that you're like, they're so cool, that's my business crush, we totally have them. Can you give an example, again, from your own business of someone, it doesn't have to be a specific name, but someone you've reached out to and you were like, here's how I'm going to provide value to you and your community, even though you're cooler than me. Not that anyone's cooler than you, but.
No, everyone's cooler than me. Sorry, it's a fact. Yeah, so basically when it comes to that sort of thing, I mean, when you have to develop, relationships don't develop overnight. So basically you can't go from being like, hey, let's be friends, to the next day being like, hey, you should let me do this thing for you where I make the money. So it's hard you can't rush them. And that's why network hacking is so important to be doing from the very, very beginning. And most people kind of overlook that. And in the desperate quest for more money, kind of try to speed up the relationship, which is like going for the boob grab before you've been on, your first date. So what I'm trying to do is, so when it comes to me and people that I've done before, I mean, usually I'm just respectful of their time. So sometimes I buy people's products so that I support them financially, and then I just give them a note. A lot of things that I would recommend is like, if people give you personal details online, which we all do at a certain point, touching base with them through contact forms or Twitter or any social network and be like, hey, how's that going? Is a really nice way to humanize them and know that you're actually like interested in them as a person. And then when you go to the ask, you got to be very straightforward with the ask and be like, hey, look, I'd love to have you to do this. And then, if they say yes or no, fine, whatever. If they ignore it, fine. You know what your answer is. Don't be a douchebag. No one's going to say yes just because you asked them. So the idea here is just to take risks with, putting yourself out there, maintain the relationship at a human level where you say like, hey, look, I noticed you. I noticed that you had this thing going on. How's it going? And basically just making sure that you're developing a real friendship and not just something fake. So I've been lucky enough to have some really great people come on for drunk webinars. And that's the other thing you can do. Like drunk webinars is my networking hack, because I was just like, this is hilarious. And I can't wait to get people drunk online. And then what it's turned into is a beginning point for a lot of big relationships online. So I've had people that have been going and doing stuff bigger and brighter than me saying like, yeah, I'd love to be drunk on a webinar with you. And I'm like, well, okay. But this is weird. But yeah, so things that are really interesting that connect with people at like a really human level, like that are fun. And people say they're fun, but they're not. They're doing the same things as other people. So fun is something different and interesting.
Fun is drinking is what you're saying.
Yeah. Drinking, yeah, basically drinking. Yeah.
Guys.
Yeah. And I think it was your drunk webinar with Paul Jarvis where there was a lot of talk of Skittles, and I was like, I have to just go buy some Skittles now. Like, what just happened?
That's because Paul doesn't drink, and and I'm totally pro that, because if people don't drink, that's great. But yeah, we had to find a new vice to tap into, and that was
candies,
Skittles, and then we both felt majorly sick for 2 days afterwards.
Yeah, I think that has like equivalent hangover to drinking.
It really does. I think Paul just ate a whole bunch of kale and then like lie down and seaweed, just trying to absorb it. So same thing for me. Yeah.
So this talk of actually building these real relationships, because I think network hacking can give off this connotation of like something you do quick, but it's not about that. It's about actually making legitimate use of real people, real relationships. With that in mind, where do you fall when it comes to metrics? Because I know a lot of people they really define their network based on the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, metrics are like penis size, right? So some people use it right and some people don't. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, you're not really sure about what you're going to get, even if you do get quite a good size. So, so, I mean, a lot of it's vanity, because you can go and get a lot of skeezy peeps on your social networks and boost up those numbers. But Yeah, I think it's relevant, right? Because if you've spent years and years of building up to thousands and thousands of newsletter subscribers, it's not really worth your time to hang out with somebody who's only got 100 people on their newsletter, right? So at a certain point, business becomes a bit more like about effectiveness versus just relationship building. So
Yeah.
it's not necessarily the best, it's not the preferred way, but after a while you have to be like, look, I'm really sorry, but you've got 5 people. So I can't be here. And you clearly wouldn't say it that way. And you clearly wouldn't say it like 5 minutes before the thing's supposed to happen. But you gotta be like, hey, look, I'd love to, but at this point we are only these are our requirements for doing this sort of thing together. And once you're there, we'd love to do it. But at this point, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Also, it's cool to have requirements, but I had an experience where someone made me go through a whole rigmarole, took up a shit ton of my time, and then was like, oh, wait, we have this random arcane requirement. I was like, fuck you. Seriously, you should have had that in the first email. So don't waste people's time if you have requirements that they need to meet to be a part of something, because if you like them for who they are, take the risk, get them on board. But if you need them to fit a certain number, then tell them the number straight away, because nobody wants to dick around with this shit. And I am the sort of person who will tell you that. So don't do it with me.
We're not going to do it with you. Definitely.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a really good point. And we actually just had someone, we allow guest posts on our site, and someone was saying, I love that you put the contributor guidelines right out there. And we say, here's what the process looks like. Here's what might happen if it's not a good fit. So just kind of being very transparent, I think, with the people that you collaborate with is what you're saying, basically.
Yeah, and don't waste their time, what you've done is brilliant, because people will go back and forth and spend tons of emails. And also it means that they don't have to worry about rejection. And that's a big thing as well, as we all fear rejection. And that's why network hacking is just the formula for how to create a relationship. And, everybody hates being told no, or that, hey, they're not good enough is what they hear. So you really just need to be straight up front about it and be like, look, it's not you. It's just that for my business, I need to make sure we hit these numbers.
Well, and I think it's interesting you say don't waste their time, but don't waste your time either. I mean, we save so much time by putting this stuff right out there. So
filter them out. Yeah, totally. It's smart.
So I wanted to jump back real quick to a comment you made about kind of being interesting and the drunk webinar. So I feel like when we talk to you, like we're sitting here cracking up. We get the fuck yeah mugs in the mail and we're like, this is awesome. And like we associate you with a lot of personality, and you have these metaphors just kind of rolling off your tongue. What do you do if you're not that kind of person? Are you kind of doomed in the marketing world because you're just boring?
No, not at all. No, because some people say I have too much personality, and I apparently have corrupted way too many children on webinars. So, I mean, I personally am proud of it, but the parents not so much.
You're like another one.
Yeah.
Got him.
I know a lot of people online who don't have the same metaphor thing going on and the same sailor's mouth as I do. So I think the thing isn't necessarily about trying to be someone you aren't, because this is just who I am. If we're drinking, whatever, this is just me. So the idea here is that I attract people who like this sort of shit, but other people don't. And there's a whole bunch of people who would rather not hear me swear and think I'm trying to be fake cool. Which just shortens to fool. But basically, it's not for everyone. So that's the whole point of your marketing, is that you should know your ideal client and you should get along with them because they like the way that you do things. So some people like, really scientific, really fully detailed out, like really corporate language. I fucking hate it and would like to blow my brains out when I read marketing jargon that's meant for like a PhD level, because it's boring and no one absorbs content that way. But other people might like it because they're more academic, or I don't know, they're made of dust. So what I'd like to, so everybody, I would just say, be yourself, figure out the key traits about you or about the way you write or present that people relate with. And for me, it's the metaphors and the swearing and making people laugh. So that's dirty the thing talk. Dirty talk. Yeah. The not so subtle innuendos. So that's just who I am. So it's not like I've tried to conceive a new personality for online stuff, but I have definitely kicked it up a notch and tried to put more innuendos and more metaphors in because people like that. So figure out what the key traits are about you that people like. Maybe they like your choice of gifts. Maybe they like the fact that you're calm. Maybe they like how you, I don't know. I'm not sure. So for everybody, it's different. And to be honest, there's a lot of people I know out there who are really calm, really sweet, and they just give a shit ton of value. And really, I think it's the value. It doesn't really matter your format. Marketing comes down to value. So again, it's not going for the boob grab first. It's about taking people out for dinner, showing them a good time, and then going for the boob grab. And so that's what the difference is.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. So boring people were not doomed. No, I'm just kidding. So let's
don't put yourself in a boring person category.
I feel like anyone who owns a business is not boring. So I think you're pretty much.
Yeah. Life is just way too exciting to be boring when you're a business.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So let's go back to service creation. I know we're not going to get into the nitty gritty of what your services should look like, but you have a really great tip that I love to share, which is create services that sell each other. So how can your services actually work together to get you to be booked out?
So basically what happens is most people just put up things that they think people might want. And so when it comes to, this is just about being strategic versus just throwing stuff at the wall. So when you're strategic, you're saying, okay, great. How is this going to help me in the long term and as a whole? And so when it comes to creating your services, it's like giving people so you basically create a sales funnel. So, and that sounds really boring. I like to call it a sales NATO. But basically you're moving people up through the beginning bit where they're helping them with one tiny thing and they get a taste of success. And then that then leapfrogs off into the next level, which is more expensive. And so you're not only is it something that's a progression, like an evolution of your client and fixing their problems, but it's also something like the way you're supposed to structure it is basically what you're looking for is to position it for value, right? So if you have $1,000 package and that's your top level package, that's expensive, because everything on your website is in its own unique environment, right? That's why people can sell $10,000 coaching packages and be like, no big deal, because on their website, that's the norm, right? Because maybe they have a $20,000 package. So it's about positioning your packages for selling. And usually people will go for the middle package, because the middle package is the one that will have the most value for price compared to the entry level and the top level. Now, that means that your middle package should be your most profitable. And it also means that your top level package should be more expensive than your middle package. And so that's what a lot of people don't get right. They kind of try to put stuff out there and it doesn't make sense, right? So they'll have a 1 hour call for $200 and their middle package will be $400. And then, their top level package will be $500. Yeah, there's a difference there, but not really much. And so what you're trying to do is create more of a, basically humans are kind of dumb. We do a lot of stuff that's not logical. And so we like to go for the thing that's got the higher number against it because we think that's more value. And so what we'll do is say, oh, okay, that middle one's nice, or the first one, the entry level one's nice, but I really want more than that. Or it makes sense to put my money towards, something bigger because I'm going to spend that money anyways. And so people usually will go for the higher level or higher price thing as long as the value there is very clear. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. It's funny that you say that. So I just wrote a 7,500 ebook on pricing pages, and it was really digging into the psychology behind how you're laying out your prices and what our brains kind of think. But just looking at a site like FreshBooks, even where they have 3 packages, they highlight the middle one, most popular. 70% of their people will buy that package. So, but they still have people at that lower and that higher end. So it's really interesting. I like how you've talked about it in terms of solopreneurs. It doesn't just have to be the big companies doing that. Positioning your actual packages next to each other gives people a really good frame of reference.
Yeah, everybody should have 3 packages. You should have 3 ways to work with you, basically. And the top level should be always really expensive, and the middle level should be very affordable. Or sorry, the entry level should be affordable, and they should all talk about results. So it's not about just I'm the unicorn package. Nobody knows what that means. So it's about something tangible that will help. And if you're in business to business, that's pretty easy because they're already looking at results and looking for a return on their investment. But if you're in the consumer business, that just requires you to go and take a look at what they want and then focus around that result.
Awesome.
All
right. So let's go right into what happens when a service-based business owner is booked out. So one of the specific questions we got from our members was, how do you actually handle putting people on a waiting list for your services? She's actually going on maternity leave, and she's very nervous about somehow not capturing that information correctly or losing the lead in the process. So once you're at that booked out point, how do you actually build that wait list and make sure that you're you're kind of nurturing those people.
That's cool because I just had another one of my clients from last year. She went on maternity leave and she just came back and she's like, already booked out. I just had to send an email and just had to go and send out one email and I'm done. So the key here, again, is strategic. So again, it's about making sure that you're very smart about the actions you take. And first off, don't call it a waiting list because nobody fucking likes waiting. It's horrible and no one will feel happy about it. So take out that word and call it something else. Like, I don't know. One of my favorite clients, Jamie Jensen, calls her like waiting area champagne room. I call mine the first dibs list. Other people can call them whatever. Just you want to focus on how it's exciting and they've got special access. So just the same way that you would have like, you know, the VIP lounge of a airport or whatever. It's the same sort of thing. It's just a room that people are sitting in, but waiting. So yeah, they're not calling it the waiting room. So I would say your language, again, content marketing is all about how you talk about things. And so that language is really important. And then what I would say is that you need to be strategically sending out content so that when you do come back, no one's gotten cold and doesn't remember you anymore. So we've all got the attention span of like a cracked out hamster on the internet because we're opening 10 different tabs. We've got 5 different things on our mind and our attention span is very split. So what you're looking to do is keep their focus by sending out, and this is where autoresponders and funnels become so important. You send them content to give them a taste of what it's like to work with you and get them excited about it when you open your doors again. So my client, who's amazing, her name's Lizzie Schwartz. She's over at Awake Woman. She's an amazing person. Basically, she did that. So we worked out a plan where she had content going out and at certain points during her maternity leave so she could take that time off and know that the people who were waiting for her to come back were getting more and more excited each day because she took time to develop a relationship with them when she wasn't there. And that's the beauty of the internet, is that you don't need to be there to develop relationships. It's like sending a robot in your place when you go on a Tinder date. Like, that's awesome. You know, none of the awkwardness, none of the things. You can just, you know, weed people out.
So logistically, at that point, are your clients taking deposits or any sort of actual commitment from people, or is it more about just giving them the idea that they are in this on this first dib list or whatever and nurturing them and then sending that email of, hey, I have space, now let's work together?
You could, but the people who I've talked to on maternity leave have not been willing to commit to a certain time or date. So I think for her specifically, maybe the person in your community, that's probably not a great idea because she sounds like all people, unless she knows what it's like to have kids, which I have no fucking clue. But, you know, they sound like the people I've talked to who have said they're going on maternity leave don't have a clear amount of time in their head. They have like a very, I'm going to see how it goes. So for her, I'd say no, don't take deposits because that's going to make a lot of people unhappy about where that's going. But if she's continually working and she's taken some time off to go on vacation, she's a very clear date to come back, yeah, take a deposit. Tell people, hey, look, you know, I'm going to start opening up these spots in a month's time. You can grab yours now. And I have another client who I've done that with who's always constantly booked out with an email because that's what she does. She gets deposits down and she's like, look, I've only got 5 spaces available. They're becoming free. And the other thing people overlook is that your past clients are also your future clients, especially for things like including web design. You know, your website's never going to be 100% done. So why would you just let them walk away? Copywriters, coaches, all of that stuff. Everyone should be touching base with their past clients because that's money that they're leaving on the table that they need to always be touching base with. So new is not always better too, because you know you like them. So you should be touching base with them. So I'd say touch base with her past clients first and then open it up to the wait list that she has. And then therefore she can start to have more confidence in getting people on the door. But she needs to be developing that relationship while she's gone.
We'll be passing this information on to her for sure.
Cool.
But I was also going to say, so actually we're doing Location Independence Month in July, and we both like to travel. I know Sarah took some time last year to go to New Zealand and Australia, but I was wondering if you've ever seen anyone use a waiting list or a champagne room in order to kind of take a little sabbatical or take some time to travel. Have you ever seen that happen effectively?
Yeah, part of being booked out is making sure that you're planning your vacation time and you're putting enough time in there for yourself. Because A lot of people will double book, and a lot of people will get kind of in this frenzy, this hamster frenzy, where they can never take time off. And that's the whole point of having this booked out strategy, is that if you've planned, if you plan the next 6 months in advance, when you can get time off. You know that you can tell your clients, okay, look, I'm going to be away for the 2 weeks in the middle of our package together. That means we're out 2 more weeks. That's fine. Or, this is what happens. So, you should be taking vacations. And the problem is that when you're constantly hustling, when you're constantly trying to get clients in, when you're constantly trying to keep up with everything, which is what most people do, they're so on the hamster wheel that they can't get off because they haven't gotten strategic, because that's what gets you off that hustle, that they can never take time off. And that's horrible, because you're going to burn yourself out. And once you're burnt out, you're going to take a long time to recover.
Yeah. No, so this is awesome. I'd like to now have you actually kind of walk us through what the Be Booked Out program looks like. So where does it start, and kind of how do you walk people through that process when they're doing it?
So Be Booked Out is a 6-week program. At the moment, it's self-paced. And what happens is that it goes so you can do it whenever you want, and you can go through with your own pace. If you're an introvert, this is perfect for you, because if you don't like to talk to other people, you don't have to. And so what happens is it comes into your inbox every Monday, and we walk you through how to find that ideal client and how to tap into their brainwaves and figure out how you mind meld with them. The next one is about how to create those packages that sell each other. The next one is talking about launch and growth content, and how to use that in your business effectively, because you shouldn't be stressing out about writing blog posts every month. You should have a clear plan in mind so that you know where it's going to go and what it's going to lead to. The next one is then the 4th week is about, I might have messed up these weeks in my head, but is about basically, now I'm zoning out, sorry. It's basically about client experience. So basically when you come in and you get a new client, you're in charge of that experience going well, which a lot of freelancers and coaches don't understand. They think their clients are there to pay them. But no, it's actually a lot of work, because once you get those clients in, if you want recurring word of mouth, you need to take a lot of time to figure out how you can have the best experience possible. And so a lot of people don't think about that. And that's a major loss in their marketing. The next one is about network hacking. And so how do you get more exposure, especially if you're brand new? How do you get people to notice you? How do you get people to come in? How do you make that launch worthwhile? Because if you don't have anybody reading, you don't have anything to work off of. So we talk about how to take care of that. And then the last week is about how to put clients on automatic. So talking about, those maternity leaves, those vacations, how to make sure that when you're working with people, which is a shit ton of your time on your plate, you've got a lot to do. How do you put that getting new clients on automatic so that you don't need to stress about that? And when you do open up your doors, it's just one email away. So.
Yeah, no. So would you say this is more for the person just starting out who doesn't even have an idea of their packages yet, or for the person who is 3 to 4 years in the business, maybe wants to reevaluate their packages? Is there a person that this would fit better, or can it be applied for anyone?
It's worked well for both so far. So I think it's easier for people who have done it before to have a better understanding of what's worked and what hasn't. But it's basically just a blueprint for anyone to have a successful service-based business. So really, it doesn't matter where you are in your business. I mean, as long as you know what you want to do, because I don't cover that, because I don't do that, because I'm not a life coach. But basically, as long as you have an idea of what services you want to provide, and you know that you can provide that service and you're good at it. So if you're a coach and you've coached people, for free before, and now you want to move into making money with it, that works for you. If you're a designer who's worked with clients before, but you want to make it more profitable, this will work for you. But it's basically what people should be learning about marketing and selling their stuff before they take too much of a financial risk, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So I'm curious, people who may have gone through your program and didn't have the success that they wanted, is there something that you can pinpoint as that's why you did this one thing, or is it just a series of actions or non-actions?
Everyone who's done the work has gotten the results. So it's people who don't do it. So basically what happens is that everyone gets distracted by shiny things, or they're trying to make courses and services work, which is bullshit. People should start with services, because that's where the easiest money lies for starting with your business online. So basically, people who have only done the first couple of weeks still get results. I had one client who sold out her highest package or top level package to her perfect clients and she hadn't even put her packages on our website yet. But it was by using that different techniques that we go through that she was able to do that, because she had not been making money up till then. So a $3,000 package after making $0 for so long was something that we worked on. But yeah, basically people need to do the work. And a lot of the time when it comes to doing the hard shit, like eating the fiber, a lot of people just like want to look at something shiny, and it's human in all of us. But that's why my guarantee is that if you do the work and it doesn't work, I'll give you back your money. But everyone who's done the work has gotten results.
Yeah, and I think actually going through it is probably a little bit more pleasant than eating a lot of fiber. So
yeah,
there's that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you said something really interesting there, which is, in your opinion, that getting started with service is a lot easier when you're starting an online business. And I want to dig into that just a little bit, because I think there's this immediate push when people start an online business to move into that passive income stream and create products. Why do you think that, and I'm not disagreeing with you by any means, just for the record, but I'd like to kind of expand on why you think this is the best kind of entrance into online business.
Oh, okay. Because it's bullshit. Passive income is not passive, first off. It's a lot of work. If you have a course, you're supporting thousands of people versus just one person. Most people don't have the cojones to go and do the work that's necessary to build a network or an audience large enough for you to make significant income with products. Digital products is basically what so passive income is the term people use for when you make money from courses or ebooks or whatever. And what is not seen, because they're new to the internet or they're new to business, is that is years of time and investment put into building a network that's large enough that you can create an income, a revenue source from courses. So unfortunately, people don't see that because those numbers are hard to see. But basically, when you have services, you only need 10 people on your newsletter to make $5,000. Like, that's not hard. But if you have 10 people on your newsletter and you want to make $5,000, do the math, because that's not possible. You have to sell them something extremely, extremely expensive, and people don't value courses the same way they value services, right? So basically, I see a lot of viable businesses go down because they're following the wrong strategy. And it's like, yeah, there are people out there who have made it work and they're brilliant at it, but you don't see how much time and energy they've put into doing it. You don't see how much, putting themselves out there, making big connections, hustling in a different way. So if you want a business that's viable, that you can do for years and years and years, you can build it up to a 6-figure business or a 6-figure freelancing business or consulting or coaching or whatever. Go services, because people want help from other people and they're willing to pay a lot of money for it. And I think that's the problem that most people don't see, is that passive income sounds like free money, and it's not. It's expensive money, and it's a much bigger risk than services. Sorry, it's my rant, but basically the investment to test a service is a sales page and some blog posts. The investment to test a course is years and years, thousands of people, and in a shit ton of time. So it's a very different level of investment versus risk that you're taking with services.
So I'm glad you went on that rant, because I just don't think it's talked about enough, since so many people have, it's really an allure of passive income, but we know that it's really kind of a false connotation there.
Yeah. So I'm curious though, how you justify, given that this is a course, how do you justify that process?
So basically what happened is I've spent years building up my audience, and it's gotten to the point now to work with me, it's $1,000 a month. Mm-hmm. And I only have, for most of this year, I only had 2 clients. So if you want to be one of those clients, you have to go through an application process. And so a lot of people still want to get booked out, and I'm not at a place anymore in my business where I can offer that sort of level of help for, $300, which used to be where I was in the beginning. And so I'm like, look, if you take this course, you're going to be able to learn what I've taught my clients. I go through it super, super specifically, and if you follow the advice and you make use of the Slack group, I can help out as much as possible, but that's where I'm at. So basically what happens is, as you progress with your business, your structures of services and products will change. I could keep going with the client-based business and not offer courses. I could offer, I could take on more clients. But I saw this being something that people really need to dive into. And it's my program is really, really thorough about getting everything you need. And so for people who have done it, it's gotten amazing results for their businesses.
Yeah, and just kind of going back to that whole creation of the course, it probably took a few years of doing what you do to really know how you could best help people through a course. And that's the other detriment to trying to do it right away, right?
Yeah, people don't have enough experience or expertise or credibility online, and that's where it doesn't work. But in saying that, I've had massive growth in my years of being in business. I've tripled and quadrupled my income and revenue. And I think the thing is that people don't understand is that you should be constantly testing your business and your business structure and evolving it. And that's the thing that people don't remember is that slow growth is just like a safety blanket. People think, oh, good, it's slow growth, that's fine. It's not fine. You need to be pushing for more growth every time, because unless you're somebody big like IBM, who's basically weighed down by all the people involved, you're the one in charge, and you should be able to implement quickly. And if you can't get more revenue out of the business structure you have, then you need to be rethinking it. And most people spend their time on the wrong things, like trying to make a course for $17 and then thinking they're going to make $7,000 from it with only, again, 20 people on their list. So math is a harsh mistress.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good reminder for us to learn from other disciplines. So like I do tech recruiting, and I'm like, there's a lot of stuff that we can learn from the way that tech teams work, or like you said, math, pretty important to running a business. I think it's really easy as business owners to be like, I'm just gonna create stuff. Like there's been shirts that say, I just want to create stuff and drink coffee. Well, that's not the reality of it.
That's a hobby. Enjoy.
Very true. All right. Yeah. Oh, God.
I just have one more question. So say you have been in business for multiple years and you have so much expertise that you do want to put into a course. I don't know how to phrase this other than the following. How, as a course creator, do you force people to do your course when you're dealing with people's shiny object syndrome?
Okay, so like actually complete the course?
Yes.
Or do you mean like actually buy the course?
Complete the course.
Okay, so basically I would take a look at things like gamification and people's attention spans, and I would take a look at the numbers again, because you're right, people do have that shiny syndrome. So the other thing I would say is like, why not make a course longer than it's supposed to be so people complete the actual course material they need to complete? Because the human brain will be like, oh, this is 20 weeks, I'm going to do 10 weeks. So make everything important in the first 10 weeks. So I think if you use people's already existing brain, like patterns and habits, then you can actually make the course more effective. People talk about those 30-day free trials like a free 30-day course, and how that's so effective for getting people into your funnel and stuff. And I'm like, no, people only read the first 3 days of a course. So unless you have all the information in there, you might have a couple of people who go through, but it's people have habits that they might not even be conscious of, so you need to work around it. So things like reward system, fast, easy, implementable wins. So having wins is a big part of a course. Making sure people have the social data to validate it. So saying things like, this is where someone got blah, blah, blah is really important. So backing it up with results so people can start to picture it, and that's when they get the buy-in. The other thing as well is supporting the course with automated responders. So saying like, hey, this is where Rachel got sad because she didn't, blah, blah, blah. This is not, so part of the course is just keeping people's spirits up and saying like, this is normal. Everybody feels overwhelmed. Everybody feels like they're not good enough. You got to keep fucking going. So I think once you get to understand the person who does your services or just your program, that a lot of it is not necessarily the course material being awesome. It's about keeping people going and motivating them to continue. And that's really the hardest part.
Yeah. So you said that Be Booked Out is a self-paced program. Is it something that you will launch as a live program at certain times, or is it now only self-paced?
At the moment, it's self-paced. So basically, we like to keep people on their toes, so we do spontaneous launching. So basically, but everyone who does the DIY gets the option to be a part of the live.
Very cool. So the best way for somebody to get started in Be Booked Out is?
This is a trick question.
Yeah. So is there an application process? Is it literally just hitting up your sales page? Is there anything special they have to do to kind of get involved?
No, I mean, if this is the right fit for you because you're a services person and you're looking to get the most, like you're looking basically to figure out what the fuck you should be doing with your time because you have no idea what to prioritize, Be Booked Out is what I would recommend for you. And if you haven't had success with selling free things, then this is going to take you down a notch and get you rebuilt with the right strategies and techniques and tactics and stuff. So you can go to the there's a link they can go to and they can sign up to be booked out and they can start right away. And so it's the bit.ly/OWS, One Woman Shop, be booked out. And you should go there and you can get access to it there.
Very cool. I didn't mean to trip you up there with that. No, I was just curious. You mentioned that there's an application process for your services, so I didn't know if you actually wanted to qualify people for your programs too.
No, I let people into my programs who are willing to do the work. So I'd love to see everyone who's been here and listening to me rant on the other side and be a part of that. So that's really great.
Very cool. And how can people reach you if they do have questions or they want to get in touch?
I'm over on Twitter, so I'll be on Twitter for the next hour. So if they have questions, that's awesome. But you can hit me through my contact form over on evolveandsucceed.com if you have any specific questions. But anything I can help with, I will help with a lot of swearing.
With a lot of swearing and a lot of good metaphors. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We definitely had a lot of fun. You made us laugh.
Good. Glad to hear it.
And you taught us some really valuable stuff, so that's important too.
Yeah, it's great chatting with you. Thanks for taking time, and we'll hopefully talk to you soon.
Yeah, I'd love to see you guys again, and thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.